So what gives you euphoric goosebumps and chills?
I read a book called The Chronicles of the Future. It's the story of the amazing story of Paul Dienach, who was in the early 1900s. He went into a coma for a whole year, and he wrote a book while in a coma. You might wonder, how did he write a book if he's in a coma? Well, when he awakened from the coma, he rewrote the book that he was experiencing when he was in a coma, and what he had experienced was his future incarnation 2,000 years from now. And there's a word called samith, S-A-M-I-T-H, and it's that inspiration of the inner truth and beauty that resonates with the oneness of the whole universe or God. And it's the samith. So like in chess, it's like that finding that realization of finding at the moment of truth, or finding a good move or a combination. It's like a eureka moment. It's like, oh wait, I see a combination. Or maybe like your hard work and effort that you put into it, or the hours and relentless hours of studying the opening, and finally like you're in a position where you could employ a certain motif or a tactic that you've studied. It's a very a great feeling. But I don't think that would classify as samith, but it's definitely an inspiring moment.
So the samith, does that talk about like this phenomenon of chills and goosebumps?
Yes, it doesn't. It might not specifically say that, but I translate it as that. Yes, as what you're saying, like that. When the artist is so involved in his art that he is the art. You know, you involve yourself in the passion of the endeavor that you pursue, that your consciousness level doesn't, you know, distinguish yourself other than the pursuit of that oneness or that total truth of expression that you're trying to convey, whether it be painting, music, singing, making love to your loved one, or chess.
How often do you feel this?
How often do you feel it? Only when you're near. Now, how often do I feel it? Well, it's a very rare moment. You know, it can be self-induced in a very deep near-death experience meditation. You know, that would be like me fasting for a very long time and meditating. Inadvertently, if someone has a near-death experience and they come back from it, that moment of like a real, you know, a spiritual awakeness and realization that we're all as one with the creative force, and you no longer fear death, and you live life so much. It's a little, let me relax a little bit, because I feel, you know, when you feel a sense of oneness, and like you live life more freely and joyous, because you know in the end that the end isn't the end, if that makes sense.
I know you're so
there's, you know, the definition of enlightenment isn't being wise. The definition of enlightenment is no longer suffering. So once you know that the end result is the end result and it's nothing to fear, then you don't suffer, you don't worry.
So do you think, like, you know, like enlightenment's talked about as some sort of like myth or something. Do you think this is like actually something that is a part of enlightenment as a process, when you're feeling goosebumps and chills and you're like in the presence of something that's very true to you, or has profound meaning?
Yes, yes. So have you ever heard of the saying, as above, so below? Okay, so as above, so below means in the unseen, the ethereal, spiritual world, there is a physical correspondence in the universe, or the physical body, or the material, or the observable. So what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Travis.
Hi, Travis. So if I say, hi, what's your name? You say, Travis. Who's answering? You, or let's call your ego. Your ego is aware of yourself, identify yourself as Travis. And where is the field of awareness of Travis? The field of awareness is the state of consciousness, the awakened state. Where is the physical correspondence of the body of the ego, the central nervous system, where you can express free will? You also have a soul and a spirit. The soul has its field of awareness in. If the ego has its field of awareness in the awakened state, the field of awareness of the soul is the dream state, or the subconscious. And that also has a physical correspondence in the human body in the autonomous nervous system, the involuntary nervous system. If you see a lion, your adrenaline might pump, even though that's in the endocrine system. I stand corrected, but not corrected, because it still works together with the sympathetic nervous system. So for all you wise ass trying to correct me. But you know, or if you fall in love, you know, your heart skips a beat. There's, you know, even take a polygraph test, right? The polygraph test is detecting involuntary bodily functions if you're lying, because it has a physical correspondence. Right? At the highest level of existence, time and space don't exist. The only thing that exists is patterning, and that has a physical correspondence in the endocrine system, the very life force that brings life to us, right? Like when, you know, if someone calls you and goes, hey, Travis, what are you doing? You might be saying, oh, I'm driving to the city, or I'm doing this. You're expressing or defining things that you're doing in your willpower that you're consciously aware of. You're not going to say, oh, I'm digesting my food, I'm also growing my hair. The very part of you that's a part of the spirit and soul that's growing, right, is still a part of you, as much part of you as your ego, or as your id, or your will, right? So that has its physical correspondence in the central, in the endocrine system. Now, the reason why I say that is as above, so below. You're talking about the goosebump. So that goosebump, that moment of like, oh wow, that moment of inspiration, you know, that's the subconscious and the consciousness meeting together and realigning and meeting that very rare, spontaneous moment of like a eureka, like wow, and you get I'm getting goosebumps right now because my love and my passion for explaining these things, spirituality, this is what it is, right? I might be talking new science, new age science, but this is all that's the very definition of divinity. You know, this is, you know, as the Hermes Trismegistus teaches, as above so below, this is what it is.